Hello, my name is TheStarkz and welcome to the very first episode of Let's Talk, a web series where I hope to bring on an engaging discussion for you to enjoy. It's a series where I hope we can talk about what it is that needs to be talked about, and today I figured I'd focus on a topic such as the political standpoints and whether Naughty Dog has fallen as a studio. As of late, there has been a significant decline in fanbase support for Naughty Dog as a studio, based off of some of their choices regarding their last few games, that being Uncharted 4 and Uncharted The Lost Legacy. Alone, the company has received a lot of heat for many developmental stances, such as the infamous creation of character Nadine Ross, a strong black female character who I personally enjoyed in the Uncharted 4 story, to the whole Amy Hennig ordeal, which basically painted some of Naughty Dog's top influencers as selfish a-holes, to the extremely beautiful showcase of The Last of Us Part 2's first gameplay reveal trailer, which was abruptly cut into a shot of two female characters kissing. Regardless of how you see this or view it, I want to share a perspective of my own, one that sheds a light on the truth and not on false information nor over-exaggerated thoughts. It's so easy to get caught up with some political news such as the absurdity that is Donald Trump and the divided states of America because, for me it has been really easy given that I live just alongside the border of the corrupt nation. With all seriousness though, do you think that it is too wise to say that Naughty Dog as a studio has fallen? Because I've noticed a rise in disappointment between quote-unquote fans of Naughty Dog. And you see, I'd probably be very shamed if I weren't or tried to cover up or defend the apparent political agenda that Naughty Dog has been accused of having, because people are just far too intolerant to even listen to a word I have to say sometimes, and rather obtain their views by online influencers or content creators to justify their own opinions because, well, that's just how some people are nowadays, and that's just the sad truth. But let's be real for 1 second, and I mean just 1 second. I have spent my lonely weeks going through comments among even more comments of divided opinions regarding that one single scene which had Ellie, one of the main protagonists of Part 1 of The Last of Us, who simply put her lips on another female in the game who was later revealed to be named Dina. What's so wrong or what's so hard to accept about this? It's a kiss. Even if one person was against homosexuality, why must you authoritatively instill your subjective views to upset that of one that is being shared or offered to you to play and enjoy narratively for the spare of your own cash? What I mean by this is Naughty Dog is a game studio. I'm sure we all know this, but they produce games for a market, a very competitive and diverse market, one which majority of gamers have or at least should respect. If so, then why must your own views be so washed up in some negative ideals and that the entire developer should scramble an idea because you believe their views are being pushed or politically pushed too much? I'll give you a moment to answer that in the comment section for me because I'm genuinely curious. Just why? I've seen so many people who might be you watching right now blame Naughty Dog for disliking the game they're creating. It's crazy that I have to ask this, but can you make sense of this ideology? Because if the answer to that question is no, then why even bother trying to complain about something you can't make sense of yourself? For example, I love films just as much as I love video games. Let's say a new film or movie gets a tease of a 2055 world where zombies have invaded a space planet where these zombies are able to mumble and communicate to one another. I get enraged by this because it's been established that zombies apparently cannot talk. So I decide to call out the creators for being stupid out of their own minds for even considering that as an interesting plot without being shown or aware of the entirety of the plot. Instead, I call it out for what it is that I want to call out, and just for the means of doing so, or just for the means of calling it out and to present views that have or may not have any value whatsoever, but rather to seem or to appeal to a majority or to simply disagree with one's other stance. This is called being prejudiced. Anyone who denies that is clearly being threatened to do so because from what has been established, that is what being prejudiced is. There's fact and there's opinion. Dissolving the two by definition and establishing that there are differences between fact and opinion is the right step to a peaceful, proper debate. See, the sad truth is that some men gamers are sexist and care nothing at all for nor about females. See, the sad truth is that some men gamers are homophobic and care nothing at all nor for or about homosexuality. Same goes with females, of course, and that's just the sad truth. With that all being said, however, I can't dismiss those who simply care too much and try to push their own care of view too much either. However, when has caring too much and trying to push one's care of view too much been an unhealthy practice? Because it really isn't, and it should never be compared to those who simply do not want to see gay people nor females in a video game. There's a big, fat, juicy red line that divides these two perspectives greatly. Those who argue otherwise are a part of a bigger issue, and that is intolerance. You see, being intolerant is what fuels ignorance in its purest. Being intolerant is hard to repair. I've seen it. It's hard, and it's deep, and it's really, really scary. But what Naughty Dog does, what they have done, and what I'm sure they're going to continue to do, is push a narrative that they want to be pushed in the way that they want it to be pushed, because that's what they do best. And I respect each and every finely talented male, female, straight, gay, black, white, and everything in between for what they have managed to accomplish through their work. It's that narrative that they push, which tells the bigger man to go screw themselves. And don't get me wrong, don't turn this into or turn this around and try to call it or call them as being intolerant, because it has nothing to do with intolerance. Again, Naughty Dog is a game studio. If you can't be bothered, simply refuse to buy or support their games. You won't be missed, and I'm sure you won't miss them. And recently, I've actually discovered that there's this counter argument which suggests that those who work for Naughty Dog, or their views as a whole company, is that you're either with them or you're against them. And this is a very negative claim. It really is. If this is what a company or group of people believe, then it's best to stay away from them entirely. And I think that this viewpoint is not a step to a healthy debate nor a healthy discussion. Anyone with common sense should believe that or come to a similar conclusion of such. Lying to yourself and lying to others to believe that is a joke. And it's just the sad truth that people buy into these claims and these false ideals. They're not what I would ever do, and for those interested in a healthy, respectful debate, please feel free to comment. For those who choose to ignore my simple requests, of course, will probably be challenged because, well, I love a good challenge shortly after being blocked. Back to the topic, though. Gamers have shown studios and publishers who's really boss, which the consumers are, because without their feedback and such, companies wouldn't be so successful nor flourish as well. However, forcing, threatening, and attacking people who work for a specific company to believe in your view or way of game narrative is purely wrong. I've seen so many people attack former Naughty Dog multiplayer designer or developer Quentin Cobb, who I have come to know as a reasonably nice and respectful man. These people have challenged him and the entire Naughty Dog multiplayer team on some questionable decisions made in the game, and while I do disagree with some of which were implemented in The Last of Us's and Uncharted's multiplayer, I would never go the extra mile to send out personal attacks, because that's not legally okay. And even if it were, that's not who I am as a person, so that would never be the case regardless. However, my point is, disagreement and difference in opinion is a lovely thing to have. You have one, I have one, we all are able to have one. It's awesome being able to share and value an opinion, but when that privilege is abused and these opinions become radically inappropriate, it's something that should never be viewed without serious precaution. And that's just the sad truth. So if you were to ask me, then no, Naughty Dog as a studio has not fallen, and they will never fall. It's very upsetting to see so many people shift focus on what they feel isn't being developed properly, rather than to focus on things that are. And I don't think those who have since stated that they will refuse to purchase The Last of Us Part 2 is hurting the company as a whole, because your lack of support will only be replaced with someone else's effort to support, and so on. It's an endless cycle of nothing. It really is. And I think anyone who really are not going to support Naughty Dog because they believe that their views as a company is being pushed too much are not looking at the right solution whatsoever. But anyhow, that's my opinion, my views. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Just let me know in the comment section below, of course, or at me at Twitter at TheStarkz, and tweet directly at me. If you're in the mood to consider financial support for this channel and my future gaming endeavors, you're free to do so by clicking on the Patreon link in the comment or in the description below, and you might receive some cool rewards if you do so. And I hope you enjoyed the video, of course. And as always, I've been TheStarkz. See you guys around.